It's time to go beyond the headlines, cause I don't put in overtime just so I can headline. Okay, now it's Fox Sports, I'm live with Renee. Going hard every day, sports rapping every play. Different segments for your favorites, coming at you daily with positive vibes, yeah, we some game changers. Basketball, football, soccer, with different interviews, you never know who may pop up. Listen, only on Beyond the Headlines, this is Beyond the Headlines. Only on Beyond the Headlines, this is Beyond the Headlines. Only on Beyond the Headlines, this is Beyond the Headlines with Renee Washington.
Joining us on Beyond the Headlines with Renee Washington for our MCAA special, we've got the co-defensive coordinator from Texas State, Archie McDaniel. Archie, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Renee, for having me. I'm excited to be here.
I am thrilled to have you here to talk about the MCAA. And off the bat, what is the MCAA for those that are listening? What does the acronym stand for? And also, where did it even get started?
So the MCAA stands for the Minority Coaches Advancement Association. And how it all kind of got started, myself and several other close friends of mine in the profession, Tremaine Jackson, Malone, one thing we do is we have daily discussions. Me and Tremaine talk almost every morning just about minority advancement in our profession and what we can do to help and how can we make the numbers improve and how can we help, minority coaches, prepare themselves for advancement in coordinator roles and head coaching roles and things like that. And so, throughout all of those discussions, we came up with this idea, and we linked up with about 6 or 7 other coaches that have kind of formed our what we call board of directors within this organization. And our whole deal is to provide opportunities for minority advancement through preparation and creating more awareness.
Okay. So how many people would you say are now, you talk about you formed a board, how many people are involved and kind of what's the direction that we're moving with the MCAA?
So when we talk about the numbers of the board, right now we're sitting at 7 guys, and ideally, and that 7 guys, it ranges from high school head coaches to junior college offensive and defensive coordinators to Division I, Group of 5, Power 5 coordinators, assistant coaches, and head coaches. The 7 of us we're kind of a realm of a bunch of different things. And we've done that on purpose. We want to be able to reach out and touch every aspect on every level of high school sports, collegiate athletics, and, again, cause awareness and create opportunities for advancement. And so that's why we kind of geared the board the way we did. And again, the direction for it is, like I said earlier, we just want to continue to create awareness, prepare guys. We sit back and we look at just the numbers within collegiate athletics and, high school football. And we look at, where the numbers are and one side is clearly greater than another. And the one thing we can control is how prepared we are. There's a lot of things we can't control, but controlling the controllables is extremely important to this organization. And the number one thing we can control is when we do get opportunities to interview, or we do get opportunities to speak to people, or we do get opportunities to make that first impression, that we're prepared. Too many times you see guys miss out on opportunities for that reason alone. They just weren't prepared. And we want to make sure as long as we can control that aspect of it as best we can, hopefully we can start causing some change.
That makes complete sense. And that's a big part, is focusing on making small changes that go a long way. So building essentially a network of coaches that are all vying for the same cause, and then also providing opportunities to develop your coaching skills and learn from each other, and things like that, like having the symposium in July. That does allow for you guys to start to build something, something controllable.
Absolutely. When we look at, which we're extremely excited about, our symposium this July in Houston, when we look at just the lineup of different people we have coming to present and speak, we have Power 5 senior administrators, We have current and former, Division I head coaches, that we're extremely excited about. We have coordinators on all levels from high school to college. Guys that have done it at the highest levels of collegiate athletics, guys that have done it at the highest levels on the high school ranks. And we're going to come together and we're going to create, number one, opportunities to network. We're going to then discuss, what are some key tips that a lot of guys don't know about. When just to give you an example, you take someone like Monique Holland, who's a senior administrator at Auburn University, who sat in on hiring committees and has been a part of hiring football coaches and basketball coaches. A lot of guys don't get an opportunity to pick somebody like that's brain. Where we want to create that opportunity. When you take John Blake, who's going to speak. He was the first and only minority head coach in the history of Oklahoma football, the University of Oklahoma, and having him come and share, his experiences and the things that it took for him to become a head coach, as a minority on that level. You don't see it very often. And just, being able to get a room full of guys, and we're expecting, 400 to 500 people.
Wow.
This is going to be a free event. So we're going to make this a free event every year, because for us, it's not about trying to do something that we can charge people. It's not about trying to see, where we can make different money and put it in. It's all about preparation and awareness and the advancement of minorities. Because again, we want to control the things that we can control and do a good job of that.
Right. And you know what? This reminds me a lot of an organization I'm a part of called NABJ, National Association of Black Journalists, which is very similar. Okay. It is now, across the country, thousands of people are involved in it. But the whole purpose of it essentially is to also build up minority journalists. Men, women Absolutely. Of all races. And it also does include white journalists as well. It's not like it's Absolutely. Solely for Black journalists or solely for, there's a Hispanic organization as well. It's not solely for Hispanic. It's just to allow people of color to come together, to network, to, as you talk about, to just have these conversations. Because a lot of times, taking a step back from race or even gender, a lot of times when you're in a career path, you don't get to have conversations with other people in your career path like this, like
absolutely.
Career development, professional development opportunities. So it gives you those opportunities as well as a network of people to connect with and to empower each other and provide resources for each other to be able to have these conversations. So this is something Absolutely. That I'm looking at now. Here you are in the beginning stages of it, but it has the potential, as you talk about, just having a coaches symposium essentially. The MCAA is running it, but it's a coaches symposium for coaches of all levels, has the ability to really grow a lot of traction. So how long has it even been since you guys have officially came up with the name MCAA and really put these conversations into action?
So it's funny. So it's technically been about 6 months now, and again, it started with, there was a time when me and Tremaine, like I say, the head coach at Colorado Mesa University right now, we talked every morning. And then Van Malone, who's at Kansas State, we talked every day. And then we started noticing it was a group of about 6 or 7 of us that were always having these conversations. And at some point, if you say, okay, man, what can we do? What are some different avenues we can take? Well, at some point, conversations have to lead to something more. And that's the part we realized. Was like, me and Tremaine was sitting there, we was like, bro, you realize we talk every day and we ain't doing nothing? And so that's why we reached out to some different people in the profession that we know share the same passion that we do. And we said, man, let's come together and let's try to form some type of organization that's just a little bit different. When you look at different organizations, especially in the landscape of collegiate athletics, a lot of organizations are formed and they want to, take the vigilant approach or scream and shake their fist at, oh, this isn't right, we want to do something. No, that's not our approach at all. Because at the end of the day, it goes back to, like I said earlier, we want to be in full control of the things we can control,
Right.
and then when we get in front of hiring committees or having a chance to talk to ADs and making sure guys understand that your opportunity that you need to be prepared for may not be an official formal interview. It may be somebody that you casually met through a friend at dinner. Well, that first impression may be what causes you to get the formal interview. And so just being able to stress those type of things. And then when you look at, you got a group of guys that have all been coaching 15, 20 plus years on all levels. You think about the people we know in certain areas that are just as passionate about this as we are. You take a guy like Kevin White, who's a senior administrator at Northwestern University. That's a minority that worked with us at SMU. Kevin is extremely passionate about this, and he's seen it from a senior administrator level. And so having him be a part of our symposium is a huge deal. When you look at, a guy who's actually on our board, Joseph Sam, who's a head high school coach at a very young age at a premier high school in Houston, Texas. That doesn't happen very often.
Right.
Well, we were sitting there the other day, and this is why it was so important us to have high school guys a part of our board as well, because you have some guys that aspire to go from high school to college. Well, you also have some guys that aspire to he's that freshman coach that's coaching freshmen in basketball and football, and he wants to know how he can be a head high school coach. He may not have a desire to be in college. Well, we want to be able to reach him too. And so that's why we've kind of formed this organization the way we have, so it can reach out and touch, a lot of different people. And then just also understanding that, you say the word minority, and sometimes the Hispanic guy who's fighting the same fight, or the Oriental guy that's fighting the same fight, he thinks that, as an African American, we're only talking about African Americans.
Right.
It's in our conference here in the Sun Belt, we've just had the first Persian offensive coordinator. There's not a lot of those, and so, that's a victory. That's a win, so we want to continue to try to create more opportunities through awareness. And I keep saying awareness because I don't know how many people realize that, when you exclude the HBCUs, that there's around 630 collegiate universities across the NCAA, and there's less than 30 minority head coaches.
Oof.
I don't think a lot of people realize that.
Wait, can you say that again? 600, say those numbers again. That is, wow.
So when you exclude the HBCUs, there's around 630 institutions that play collegiate football in the NCAA. Well, when you look at how many minority head coaches sit in those roles, the number's around 30.
Wow.
When you look at there's over 1,200 opportunities for there to be somebody in a coordinator position. And when we say coordinator, we're talking about the true offensive or defensive coordinator. There's around 1,200 or so of those opportunities. Well, when you look at the landscape of college football, those numbers are less than 180 minority. And so that's why our focus is so passionate about advancement, because we want to help guys put themselves in position to actually be in charge. I think sometimes we lose sight of the fact of just trying to get in the building. Well, let's get in the building and have an opportunity to be in charge. And again, we control how ready we are for that opportunity. You can't say you want to be a coordinator or you want to be a head coach, and if somebody calls you to interview tomorrow, you're not ready. Well, that's shame on you. And so we want our organization to represent that aspect as best we possibly can.
Wow. That is, I mean, that sums it all up in a nutshell. When you look at the fact that there are around 5% head coaches and 15%, I'm just doing rough estimates for numbers, that are offensive or defensive coordinators. And as I've been talking about, and I talked about this with Tremaine, and I've talked about this with many other people, when you are a player and you don't have coaches that look like you, or if you are a coach, you talk about like you are that freshman coach and you don't have coaches that look like you, it's very similar to being, you know, a minority in the workplace or a female in the workplace. When you are the only one there, whether it's in a 9-to-5 corporate America job or a coaching job or whatever field it may be in, if you don't have people that look like you, what the majority don't understand is how hard it is for you to grow, be comfortable, learn, if there's no one to turn to when you do have those questions and you don't have someone that can relate to you. And although you can relate to people on many different areas of life, that relatability in terms of understanding, say you have a hair question or whatever it may be, you know, it's just different when you have someone, even if it's just one person there that can mentor you and be a role model to you. So that is remarkable. So what is really next? I know you guys have the symposium coming up in July in Houston. You know, what can we expect for the MCAA that's really the next big steps?
So, you know, once we get through the symposium, you know, and at that point, then we'll be springboarding into the football season. Hopefully.
Yeah, God.
You know, so you know, once we get through that part, then you know, the next step for us is to continue to take our efforts to the national convention that we have every year, which is the AFCA convention, American Football Coaches Association, and just continue to you know, bring our efforts there, which, you know, at that convention there will be every college football coach on every level from the East Coast to the West Coast and everywhere in between in one city. You know, and so the opportunity to, you know, bring our efforts there, Van Malone, who again I mentioned before, he's actually the chairman of the Minority Issues Committee that's directly involved with the AFCA. You know, and so, and again, me and Van are best friends, so we've had numerous.
I lost you for a little.
You know, and so, yeah, can you hear me?
Oh yeah, I guess you said you had numerous conversations.
Yeah, we've had numerous conversations about just the MCAA organization, the Minority Issues Committee that's directly tied into the AFCA, intertwining those two again to make this stage bigger. You know, and again, like I say, the thing I always, and I keep going back to this, is our entire focus is creating awareness that can bring more opportunities, bring more opportunities in the right way. Because we also understand this topic makes some people uncomfortable, you know, and that's I tell people all the time, there's nothing wrong with being uncomfortable. I feel like our organization feels like you can grow from that, you know, and the thing I think a lot of people don't realize as well is, you know, we were talking about this the other day during our conference call. There's a lot of Caucasian coaches that share this same passion. You know, that see what we see and say, man, what can we do to help? You know, well, that's huge. That's a big deal. You know, and again, we want to keep this thing going in a positive direction to where we can truly look up and say, okay, we see opportunities created. If we can just start with getting more guys opportunities to just interview, you know, and if you feel like you can I tell people all the time, give me a chance to interview, I'll take it from there.
Right.
That's how confident I am in myself. You know, well, just, you know, being able to set that stage and let people take the stage and hopefully have had an opportunity through things like our symposium to say, you know what, man, I learned so much from that I know I'm ready now. And then, you know, and then just see where it goes from there.
Yeah. No, I love that. I mean, I always tell people the same thing. If it's different once you're able to have a conversation with someone face to face versus them just reading your resume on a piece of paper or something. So Archie, where can our listeners follow you and all the MCAA work as the organization continues to grow, so that they can learn more about whether it's getting involved, finding ways to help prepare coaches or help have these conversations, or just to keep up with what you're doing?
So right now we have a Twitter page where we're full blown social media. Our Twitter handle is at MCAA 2020. MCAA is all caps. And so everything we're doing right now is geared towards the symposium. That's what you'll see there. So, you know, we've officially launched the registration for the symposium on that site. It's all you got to do is click on the link, give your name and the school you're affiliated with, hit submit, and boom, you're in it. And then from there, what we're going to do is every week or two, we'll just gradually announce a speaker. You know, so and it'll just kind of lead up to, you know, the convention. And like I say, we have a lineup of some dynamite people that I think have, like I said, have had a chance to do this at the highest level and been successful, and are minorities. And I think people, once they start seeing who's actually coming, we plan on having a big time showing in Houston, Texas on July 7th. You know, and we're excited about it. And that's kind of where things are right now. So like I say, you can just go to that MCAA 2020 and everything we're doing will be right there. All of the coaches involved in the MCAA are on there as followers. And you know, that's kind of where things are right now.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for joining Beyond the Headlines with Renee Washington to talk about the MCAA and shed light on this incredible organization to help grow coaching, playing, the whole experience on all levels, from the youth level to the professional level. I have enjoyed listening to what you guys are all about, and I wish you nothing but the best.
Well, Renee, we really appreciate you and supporting us and having us on the show. So again, double salute to you. This is big time, and anything you ever need from us, just give us a holler.
All right, sounds great.